This is Basic Chemistry, or Understanding the Basics of Biochemistry for Biology 400 students here at Downers Grove South High School. For those of you who are listening, this is Mr. Gales. I might have some of you in class. Others of you might have Mr. Workman or Miss Largen. Before I get going on this presentation, I want to just remind you that the most effective use of the screencast would be for you to make sure that you're either adding to your class notes or developing class notes that you can use. You also want to make sure that you have a periodic table. For Mr. Workman's class and mine, that would be on page 25 in your biochemistry packet. At any time, you can hit the pause button on the video so you can stop if you need to record notes or questions, or if you need to go get yourself a snack. This is going to be a very entertaining screencast for you. You might need to have some popcorn, something like that, to get going. So again, you can use the pause button at any time. One thing I would encourage all of you to do is to make sure that you're asking questions of content that you don't understand, concepts that you don't understand. So as we're learning about this material, please make sure that you're writing down questions on things that you need some additional help with. All right, as we talk today, we know that we spend a lot of time in this class on chemistry, particularly biochemistry, focusing on the basics of chemistry, organic chemistry, and thermodynamics. And oftentimes I get asked the question, why is it so important that we study chemistry in biology? I mean, it's Biology 400. I think there are three really good answers to that question. The first answer that we see here is the fact that all cells are composed of chemicals. The cell is the basic unit of life, so we can deduce then that all organisms essentially are composed of chemicals. The two pictures that we see here are on the left an Elodea, which is a type of aquatic plant. We can see by its shape, it's got a very distinctive boxy shape to it, which is characteristic of plant cells. And we can see from its color, we can deduce that it's doing photosynthesis because it's got the green color that we associate with chloroplasts. On the right-hand side, we see a human islet cell from the pancreas of a human. This is the cell that is responsible for producing insulin, and it's also the area where we have defects in people that have diabetes. On the surface, these two cells look very different. They appear to have very different structures, very different functions, obviously. But if we look inside the cell, for instance, inside that plant cell, look carefully, you can see there are structures there, obviously, that do relate to plants only, like the cell wall and the chloroplast and the vacuole. But we see structures that we would expect to see in most cells, which would be like the plasma membrane, the cell membrane, which we see just inside the cell wall. We see the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, the rough endoplasmic reticulum. We see cytoplasm. Those are all structures very typical to cells. And if we look inside the animal cell over here, you're going to notice that we see those same structures, the rough endoplasmic reticulum, the plasma membrane, cytoplasm filling the cell and such. All cells, and thus all living things, are composed of very similar chemicals. So that's one reason why we study so much chemistry. Another reason is that all the processes that make life possible involve a variety of chemical reactions. And on this screen, what you're seeing is a picture summary of photosynthesis. We can see the water that comes into the plant, the light that comes into the plant. We see the carbon dioxide that comes into the plant during the Calvin cycle. Obviously, oxygen given off as a byproduct. Those are maybe the familiar aspects of photosynthesis to you, but there's a lot of underlying chemistry that is fairly significant. We've got these energy molecules, NADP and ADP, being charged up basically by the sunlight. They produce high energy molecules, ATP and NADPH. Those high energy molecules are sent through what's called the Calvin cycle, where carbon dioxide is fixed in, so to speak, with a starting molecule called ribulose bisphosphate right here. And essentially the end product of that cycle of reactions is the production of sugar. Sucrose is the direct product. That sucrose is fairly quickly converted into glucose, which is used to power cellular reactions. This next picture you'll see is a summary of cellular respiration. Cellular respiration is the process where glucose is essentially broken down to release energy, and energy in the form of ATP is harvested. Photosynthesis is exclusive to autotrophs, where cellular respiration occurs in all living things. And again, the idea is that there are many chemical reactions that occur that maintain life. One additional reason that I think understanding chemistry is really important to understand biology is just that it helps you to understand the complexity and elegance of life. When you look at something like this is a bombardier beetle. This is an amazing organism. It's got a defense mechanism that allows it to protect itself against predators. And you can see that it's squirting out of its abdomen this fluid, this jet spray of fluid. That's actually a caustic, burning, boiling chemical that is a combination of hydroquinone, which exists in one pouch in the insect's abdomen, and hydrogen peroxide, which exists in another pouch. And when the animal's threatened, it squeezes the two pouches together, and that produces that caustic burning chemical. I'm going to play a quick video on YouTube. There won't be any sound, but you'll be able to see what that looks like when the bombardier beetle burns something that's trying to attack it using that combination of chemicals. In class, one student asked, how is it that the bombardier beetle is not burned by the chemical? And you'll see that